projects that I do, typically about 3, 5 to 7 or 10 years. I find that it takes to have some impact, to make some social change, to get to that tipping point. So I've recently committed to the next 3 to 7 years to helping to implement restorative practices in the area of resolving personal and work disputes or personal and work injuries and medical mistakes or medical malpractice claims. And what I'd like to do initially is I'd like to form a coalition of people who think similarly about this, that recognize that there's a significant problem in our traditional adversarial system. And I'd like to, together, collaboratively, understand what the needs and wants of the stakeholders are who participate in this system. And in the area that I work in, the personal injury field, the stakeholders are, for instance, the injured party, their family, attorneys, both plaintiffs' attorneys and defense attorneys, medical professionals, and insurance companies. And those are the 5 key stakeholders that I think participate in this process. And one of the things that I learned in reading, I just recently finished the book Freakonomics, and it talks about in order to make significant social change, we first have to identify what the needs and wants are of these stakeholders. And I think we're able to do that pretty easily. And then what's most important is we have to give financial, social, and moral incentives to those stakeholders to make some changes in their behavior, make some changes in the institutions in which they work. And so that's what I'm hoping to do over the next number of years, is to identify what those needs are. For instance, the need of the injured person is to not only to receive compensation or to repair the harms, but initially what their need is to have acknowledgement and have some understanding about what happened and perhaps be offered an apology. Those emotional needs are paramount, I think, for the injured person and their family to be able to move forward through the healing process. I think that the insurance companies have needs of resolving claims cheaply, fast, and to the satisfaction of their policyholders. I think insurance companies suggest that what they'd like to do is provide protection to people. That's what they profess that they provide, is protection, financial protection for people. That's why we all have insurance. And I think insurance companies generally want to try to do that. What's happened in some cases is they've fallen short on meeting that goal. Because of the adversarial process, the litigation process, they're really not protecting injured people and their families. And so they have that need, but they also are mindful of the bottom line. They need to do things in a cost-effective manner. I think that attorneys have the need to help people. I think a lot of people get into this profession because they want to try to help people. Whether that's plaintiffs' lawyers or defense lawyers, I think generally lawyers, generally speaking, want to try to help people. The plaintiffs' lawyers particularly, that's why they get into that arena. The defense lawyers maybe a little bit less. They want to help the people that they serve, of course, which is in the insurance companies. And so they have the need to do that. They have the need to be respected in the legal profession. I think there's a significant need for that. And the medical community has the need also to help people. But they also have the need not to be interfered with, as is being done now by insurance companies. Doctors want to practice medicine. They don't want to be mirrored in a bunch of paperwork. They don't want insurance adjusters telling them what to do and how to treat their patients. They need to handle the cases as they see fit. They need their independence. Families, I think, need to be part of the process and held together. In way too many situations, the clients that I see, the family is torn apart because of financial difficulties, because of emotional concerns, because the person that is injured isn't themselves anymore. They're somebody different. And so the family has to adapt to that. And you put on top of that the stress of the litigation process. For many families, it's overwhelming. And the incidence of divorce and personal injury after a traumatic injury is very, very high. So we've identified the needs. Now we need to figure out how can we give some social, moral, and financial incentives. And I can summarize it very quickly. I think that the restorative practices, a restorative mediation practice, can resolve personal injury claims, work injury claims, malpractice claims Cheaper, better, faster. That's the bottom line. I went to a CLA, a continuing legal education, put on by our bar associations probably about 15 years ago, and they had an expert from Arizona come in. And this expert, I guess anybody who comes in from out of state is an expert, and the expert came in, and this person was predicting the future of the law. Where's the law going? What should lawyers be looking for in 10 or 20 years in terms of their practices? And he summarized it with those 3 words. The consumer wants cheaper, better, faster legal services. And I wonder if we've accomplished that in the past 15 years. And based upon my practice, I would say no, we have not met that expectation of the consumer. And so I think it's time that we do meet the expectation of the consumer and those stakeholders that are involved to do something different than we've done for the past 50, 100 years. The traditional legal system's obviously been around for a long time, and we're not going to throw that system out. I don't think that's what anybody who's promoting alternative practices would suggest, that we get rid of the civil justice system. No, we need to provide resources or other tools for the civil justice system and the practitioners in the system to use in order to provide cheaper, better, faster legal services. And basically, legal services become problem-solving services. How can we solve the problem that's brought to us? What I'd like to think that we can do is we provide a method of practice that incorporates restorative justice or restorative practices into the existing system. And here's what I suggest. It's really a 5-step process that needs to happen. 1, I think we need to identify who the stakeholders are, and I think we've done that. We need to understand what their needs are, their wants are. I think we can do that. I think we need to create an understanding amongst the stakeholders in general about the process that's used now and the advantages of a restorative practice. I think we can create that understanding among the stakeholders and among the community in general, the public in general. Then we need to figure out which cases would be appropriate for this kind of a practice, because I don't think all cases would be appropriate for this kind of a practice. And it's a pretty simple screening mechanism. It really isn't very complicated. From the standpoint of the injured person, the screening is, were you injured? Yes. An explanation of how you were injured. Well, someone ran the red light. All right. Would you be willing to sit down with the person who ran the red light and talk with them about what happened, and perhaps maybe they would apologize to you? Yes, I would very much like to hear that. I'd like to know what was going on, and I would love to have an apology. Do you have a need, and would you be willing to collaboratively work to repair the harms that have been caused to you? Oh, yeah, that'd be great. Perfect. That person is an appropriate person. Check that person off. They're ready to go. Now you move to the person who, let's say, ran the red light or was negligent. Would you be willing to accept responsibility for your actions? Yes, I would. I realize I ran the red light and I wasn't paying attention, and I'm sorry about that. Great. Would you be willing to express that to the person who you hit? Absolutely. Would it help you if they understood what you were doing and if they forgave you? Well, yeah, that would be. As a matter of fact, I've been feeling really guilty about that, and I wondered what happened to the person that I hit. Great. Would you want your insurance company to help you participate to help repair the harms for the person that you injured? Absolutely. That's why I have insurance. Great. Check that person off. They're ready to participate. Then you go to the insurance company and you say, is this something where it appears that the liability situation is relatively clear, that your person you're insured was negligent? Yes, it looks like it to me. We've done our research or our investigation, and the police report shows the person was ticketed, etc. So yeah, I think it's clear. And I've talked to the adjuster, says, well, I've talked to the person and they accept responsibility, and you know, we can move on beyond liability. Great. Do you recognize that the person was injured? Yeah, we do. We've gotten some medical bills and some reports, and we recognize that there are some injuries that are going on. Are you willing to work together with the person to help repair the harms and the losses that have been caused? Well, yeah, that's what we do. We'd be willing to do that. Great. The insurance company now is willing to participate. So you now have the 3 key stakeholders that are willing to sit down and participate in a process.